really annoying when your fur's that long that you're just trying to clean yourself and it's getting stuck in your throat, stuck in your mouth, stuck between your teeth. Must be a bit of a nightmare. Did a bit of grooming myself last night. Went for the old clean shave for the first time in about 6 years. Just the goatee remaining. If you like the new beard style, don't forget to smash the like button. Today, we're going to find out how good I really am at facing turn bets. We're going to look at some spots where our opponent has bet their range on the flop and then barreled the turn in a single raise pot. We're going to be scoring it. I'm going to do 50 hands, 5-0. That's a lot of hands. I'm going to find out how many I get right. Before we get started, I'm so excited to show you this. Look at this, guys. This is the new Carrot Corner video library. All of our content is now online at Carrot Corner. Grab a course, press play, start watching. It's that simple. Check out carrotcorner.com. Now let's get to the video. So this first hand, I actually clicked the button when I wasn't recording, but this is cool because this is a spot where we actually just folded. You can see I folded here with top pair on the turn. I folded top pair to a turn barrel, but it was an overbet and it was on a triple Broadway turn. So this is why this fold is right. If you call here, in game theory, you lose about 1/10 of a big blind. So it's pretty close to a call. In reality, you'll probably do worse than this against most people, especially if you're playing like 10NL, 25NL, 50NL, 1-2 live. There are so many value hands you could overbet here with. You could have king 10, you could have a set, you could have 2 pair. There's a lot of combos of that. To bluff often enough here with overbet, you need to go beyond just the bluffing of spades and hearts. You need to bluff like some pretty bad looking draws like gut shots as well. 10-7, king X, whatever. And a lot of people just simply won't. So this fold, I think it's even better in practice, but there you go. There goes the old saying, never fold top pair to just 2 bets. That's bullshit. That's wrong in many occasions. So the way we're going to do today's video is I'm going to select either raise, call, or fold. In these spots, we're just going to be looking at one spot at a time, one node at a time. And I'm going to give myself, well, actually the editor is going to give me 1 point for a green box, which is where I did the right thing and the frequency is okay. In a minute, when I click deal a new hand, there's going to be an RNG on screen, and low numbers are aggressive. So in this video, I'm not just tasking myself with the job of not making any blunders and not making any EV losses. I'm also going to try and do things at roughly the right frequency as well. So I'm going to get 1 point when I get a green box, which means that I picked the right line, it doesn't lose any EV, and I did it at the right sort of rough frequency. If we get a yellow box, that's a mixing error. It means I didn't do anything bad, but I just was off with my frequencies. That's not really a huge deal usually, but I'm going to be harsh on myself today and hold myself to really high GTO standards and only give myself half a point if that happens. And if I get a red box, I get no points. I'm going to do 50 hands. Let's go. Let's see how many I get right. How good am I at facing turn bets? Let's find out. Okay, spot number 1, guys. Ace 10 here. I don't think we're ever raising. I don't think we're ever folding. This looks like a really easy call. Green box. Okay, cool. 1 point to us. Ace 10 against overbet must just be a fold. Okay, 1 point to us. If we get really easy ones like this, we might score pretty highly. This is just a call. I don't think you can raise with the middle pair and flush draw here. Like, why would you ever do that? You're obviously never folding. Okay, green box. Oh, turns out you could have raised, but still, we didn't roll quite low enough for that. You can see the RNG just down here guiding us. With a straight here, this is a tough one. I think raising is optional here. I don't think it's mandatory. On a 44, I'm going to guess that you do raise. It's really annoying that I've got 2 raise sizes. This is where it's going to be irritating and it's going to use different ones. I think this is a raise on that roll. It's actually not. It's just a call, so just half a point for that one. The raise frequency there is a bit lower than most people think. A lot of people pure raise there. The reason you don't have to is, of course, that your opponent's really polarizing their range at this point. They're going to bet the river with a lot of the value hands that you're worried about missing value from. When you don't raise, you'll have the chance to raise the river bet, and therefore going for check raise on the river is totally fine as well. And also they can be bluffing with some pretty low EV stuff in GTO. If you're playing against a really passive recreational, I'd recommend raising here, but this is totally optional theoretically. I was a bit off with the frequencies though, so just half a point for that one. Ace jack here. Not gutter. Ace of clubs means if we do hit the ace, it doesn't bring any flushes in, so that's kind of a good thing. At the same time, we're blocking some bluffs. This strikes me as pretty close. I'm going to call. Yeah, just a call, never a fold, never a raise. Okay, 1 point for that. You can always look at the EV, by the way, when you select one of these decisions. That can really help. 7-5 here. This feels like on the paired turn, this hand's just really bad. I'd rather have actually almost any other hand than this. This looks like one of the worst hands. We're blocking bluffs. We have bad redraw. We don't have any 2 pair outs anymore because the 10 paired I'm going to fold. And it's a pure fold. Okay, so a point for that. 2 pair here. I don't think we're ever raising or folding. Just going to be a call. You can look at the EV differences between lines, like how bad would it be if I raised? That's a healthy thing to do. I'm not going to do that so much today though, because we're trying to fly through a lot of spots. King Queen with the Queen of Spades, definitely just a call. Can't see this ever being a raise or a fold. Nice easy one there, pure call, easy. Big EV difference there between that line and the other lines. King Queen, easy fold. Not much to say against overbet on the turn there. I'll get 50 out of 50 or 49.5 out of 50 if it keeps giving me ones like this. Eights, I think you've got to call again for sure. Don't think you're ever doing anything else. Yeah, massively winning call. This is always with the action sequence that they've bet flop, by the way. We're always facing the double barrel here. That's what we're looking at. Easy fold with just the gutter against overbet. Their sizing is going to fluctuate between big bet and overbet. That's the options they have. Easy fold with threes. So this type of training is obviously kind of muscle memory. A lot of these decisions are pretty easy. Some of them are a bit tougher. Another frequency one. I think this is, oh, it's a 23 though. Do we raise Queen 10 or do we start raising like King 10 plus here? I feel like it might be King 10 plus. I'm just going to call here. Yeah, there's very little raise with that. There's a little bit, but full point for us. Well judged. 9-6 against overbet. Yeah, I think you've got a call here with the top pair. I don't think you get to fold this whenever. It's going to be pretty close though. Yeah, it's significantly bet. It's not actually that close. It's 1.5 big blinds winning to call. I thought it might be a bit worse than that, but yeah, still a green box. Ace 5 with the gutter, you're always going to call your pair and redraw. This is a better call than Ace 7, Ace 8, anything like that. Easy defend against overbet there. Got to make that one whether you like it or not. Ace 9 should go in the bin here. It's very close to the bottom of range. We don't have a lot else going on. King Queen, sometimes these big cards are actually bluff catchers, meaning that villain doesn't bluff with Ace X. I think villain does bluff with a bit of Ace X here maybe though, so I think this is a fold. Not too bad to call though, only like 3.96 chips, which is basically 39.6% of a big blind if you do the math there. No idea how many I've done. I'm going to check in a minute and pause the video. I'm going to try and do 50. I think I can count them using the software. This is the Pio 2 trainer, by the way, if you're wondering what program we're using here. Just buying myself time, rambling while I think about sevens. Sort of a tough one. Against overbet, we do have some really nice boat draw here, and a lot of their straights are going to get there on those rivers, so there's definitely some implied odds with the 2 outs, but they are only 2 outs at the end of the day. We're going to block quite a lot of bluffs. We could have a 10, we could have an 8. These are all better calls. We can have some draws, which are better calls. This is close though. Sevens is kind of robust. We could easily have a lot worse hands here as well. I'm going to fold, but this might be a call and this might be a mix. Oh man, it's horrible to fold. Wow. Yeah, I should have gone with my gut there. My gut was telling me not to fold that hand, and I just talked myself into it because of the blockers and the bad improvability. But yeah, when you think of your range there, you just have so many hands that are just like way worse. Like the outs don't make villain as many good things, and they're just kind of way more fragile and vulnerable. So like when you've got a pair of 5s there, it's going to be way more vulnerable to villain's bluffing range. Like villain's going to have way more redraw against you. So yeah, I should have gone with my gut there. That's a big blunder. Really shouldn't have folded that one. I actually did something kind of bad there, which was I was a bit on the fence, and instead of listening to my instinct, which told me to call, I looked at the RNG. And if you're not certain that something's a mix, you really shouldn't use the RNG, because a lot of things in these spots are pure actions. So yeah, I misjudged that one pretty badly. Ace 10 here. I think we should probably fold this, though it might be really close. Yeah, super close. It's actually mixing between fold and call, but green box because we had the right number for it. A little bit lucky maybe. Definitely just calling Queen 10. King 9, I think we're definitely going to be calling. Not much else to say. So just one blunder so far. It's not too bad, but yeah, a bit disappointed in myself in that one. It's still haunting me. I'm very harsh on myself when I make mistakes, especially huge mistakes like that. I just don't ever face an overbet on that turn. I normally just face big bet, in which case it's an easy call. So it's kind of an unseen spot. And when we haven't seen a spot before, it's easier to feel like we're out of our depth. So I think that's what happened there. This one's a no-brainer. A lot of these we just should be getting right, guys, right? Because they are absolutely no-brainers. Like, so these ones, although we're getting full marks, it doesn't really mean a lot. This is super close as well. These close ones, if you just gave me a batch of these, I'd perform way worse. I mean, okay, let's think about this. Is raise an option with the club? I mean, yeah, the club blocker does like block some of their folds, but it blocks a hell of a lot of their continues as well, like just their jack X of clubs hands. Obviously, I'd kind of rather hit a jack that wasn't a club. I don't really want to hit a jack anyway. If the king of clubs comes in the river, it's nice to block those flushes as well. So this is probably like more of a raise factor than not. I don't think I should fold. I think I should call or raise. The question is, like, does villain have enough bluffs here that I beat that I can call? I think they do have some. I think on a 67 I'll call. Yeah, so it does raise. It does mix call and raise, but it's mainly calling. So we did get that one right in the end. A lot of people think you can't call there, but the thing is that your pair outs can be good. you also just have some implied odds by calling and then check raising river, and you can have the best hand already, and villain can give up like 8-7 on the river and you can just win, or they can give up like jack 8 or something like that, or even like 5-3. Although I think that should follow through on most rivers on blocking our folding range. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Don't think we raise as far down as ace-9 here. I think villain's value range is going to be some worse ace-x, but not enough that we want to raise this hand. This just calls, although it can raise. Okay, it's optional. Interesting. Ace-x here's got to be indifferent. The 10 strikes me as a kind of bad one. It's probably a mix, although my instinct is again just telling me that calling can't be wrong here, so I'm going to do it. Yeah, I should really listen to my instinct. If I folded there, it would have been okay, but yeah, call is the main line play there. I'm going to end up overfolding if I'm not careful there. I don't want to do that. I don't want to give regs tons of fold equity and make them feel like the boss men and women. I don't want to make them feel like they can dominate me. I got to fight. I got to stand up. This is, of course, a nonsense tilted thought process, by the way, that I'm doing an example of right here. If you feel like you have to fight for pots so you don't get bullied and dominated and you've got that little dog syndrome, that's something to get in check. You know, it's a mental game leak. Realistically, we just have way too many ace-x and we have to call most of our range to this, well, more than half of our range to the sizing, therefore we have to call tons of ace-x. That's the logic. We raise a lot of our jack-x on flop, we don't have a ton of 4x, so yeah. Fold. If you're calling there, you don't deserve to play the game. Fold. Same thing. Don't call ace-10. Yes, you have showdown value, yes, you beat bluffs, but this is a very bad bluff catcher. Villains' bluffs are very live against you. Your outs are really unnutted, your redraw's terrible against their value range, and even if you do hit, you're going to have some reverse implieds and stuff, so really terrible spot to do anything but fold. 9-7, I think this just has to call. I wonder if this can raise, actually. Some of these hands do raise. Man, does this a raise on a 26? I'm in danger of losing half a point here. I know call is never going to be a red box. No, I think call's too good. I think like 8-7 or something would raise. I think call's 100% here. Okay, raises 4%. Alright, so it's flirting with the idea of raising. Seems we're on the right page. Oh man, I mean, this is kind of almost a bluff catcher, but the straight draw's miserable. This has to be a pure fold. What? Oh my god. How is it that winning against overbet? How is it that winning to call? I rushed that one a little bit. I put too much emphasis on the fact that the 3 makes 6-7 get there. It's only 4 combos. Like, villain doesn't have 6-7 off here. On button, I don't think. I guess we just have bluff catcher with nutty redraw, and the redraw's nutty enough, and it's a bluff catcher. Maybe villain's just not bluffing that many ace-x hands here. And the ones they do bluff, we chop with. Maybe they're just very rarely betting like ace-8 or something, or ace-6. And even if they are, we're going to chop in a lot of rivers, maybe. Huh. Another blunder. Another 2 points removed. That kind of surprised me a lot that it was that big a mistake. Man, I wonder how much money I'm losing by being too tight on the turn. Like, both of my mistakes so far have been being too tight against overbet. For all of my preaching about like, oh, you've got to overbet and exploit pool by overbetting, I wonder if I'm accidentally folding too much against it. That makes a ton of sense why that's a call. You beat almost every bluff. You have nutty redraw, and you have the overcard ace to hit. I forgot that. That's why I didn't think about the overcard ace makes a big swing as well, because you've got extra redraw against like queen x. I always forget stuff like that. So yeah, calling this bad looking gutter against overbet, that's definitely one of the more counterintuitive things that you need to do. I can't believe it's like 2 big blinds winning, 2.6 big blinds winning to call. That's such a huge blunder. Man, it just goes to show I need to drill this spot a lot more. We looked at a spot very similar to this, but this time we're facing overbet. I think this time we probably can fold and we're reduced to like a completely break-even proposition. I have no idea. Like, maybe we can raise on some really low rolls. I doubt there's much raising going on here though. Can we still call? I mean, we do still have the bluff catcher. I think now it's going to mix fold though. At least. Yeah, it's just always folding now. Okay, so at least I'm not being too tight there. So showdown value plus redraw. We need to be very careful about folding, even if it looks shabby. But naked showdown value or naked redraw, usually it's not going to be a big deal to fold. That's definitely a rule you can form there. Oh man, it's giving me the tough ones now. I like the Jack of Clubs as a bet, but not lots. Like, it does block bluffs as well. This is not a fully negative card though to have. We have 5 outs, which is fine. This looks super indifferent actually. The Jack does not look like a particularly great blocker. We have a ton of pair plus straight draw. I feel like we can fold this. Yeah. The thing with this hand is that on the 7 turn, there's loads of our other bluff catchers that get upgraded to just being way better hands. Like 8-7, 8, 9-8, you know, all of this stuff has straight draw as well now. So not only does Jack 9 not have straight draw, but it's also going to interfere with a lot of our opponent's gutters and stuff like that. So looks like a fold to me. Glad I went with my gut there. Queen 4. This has to be a pure fold. There's no way this ever calls, right? Really? Oh, it calls and it raises. It raises, guys. Solver's fucking losing its mind here. Solver's like on some kind of power trip where it's like, Pete, you suck at cards. I'm going to prove it to you by raising Queen 4 here. How many people do this? Hands up in the audience. How many people raise this hand? This is insane. The idea is going to be that villain bet folds more King X than they should, and we also get really useful fold equity when villain has like draws that can't call the raise, like weak draws, and we block like a ton of value stuff. And because calling is just break even, we're not losing anything by raising. The normal reason for which you don't want to raise a medium strength hand is that call is way better. But when call is break even, it's kind of hard for call to be way better than raise as long as the raise is viable. So this isn't a polarization mistake because calling the overbet would be so bad. But if villain had gone smaller, it may well become a polarization mistake to raise this hand because now calling is so good. That's such a weird phenomenon. But you can raise, you can call. I guess the 4 is better to call with than like Queen 8, Queen 7. But yeah, half a point I think is fair there. I definitely didn't deserve the full point for that one. I mean, the ace is live against the queen. We do unblock a lot of bluffs. The 3 is kind of a rubbish out. This is probably a fold, but then I have been way too tight in this spot. I'm like scaring myself now. I'm psyching myself out. Yeah, there's a little trace of call there. Maybe I need to lean slightly more towards continuing against overbets. Not this time. Great sizing by villain, by the way. We have a deuce almost never. They have a large nut advantage here. Just going to let this one go, of course. Man, 2 big blunders. Kind of unhappy with myself about that, guys. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to cite my excuse that I'm still not well. I'm still not well, guys. Honestly, I do deserve to play the game. Overbet here. This just, I just can't think that this is a good hand to call. It might be break even though, and we have rolled kind of low. I don't love the queen, but then I don't love any kicker here. I don't love a jack, I don't love a 10, I don't love a 7, I don't love a 6. I can't only call a king and bet. It's probably a mix. Oh, it's actually a pure call, but it's very close. Like an EV here, call and fold have practically the same EV. But look at me loosening up a bit. I'm learning, guys. I'm evolving a little bit here like a Pokemon. I'm becoming Raichu. That's why this kind of drill is so useful. When you do like 50 hands on mass like this, it really helps you see where your leaks are. So on these kind of board textures, like naked ace X gets pretty damn fragile because you have a lot of pair plus draw. I think this one will still be a call. The 4 is one of my favorite kickers to have that's not like the 10. And I do have to mix this probably, and I've rolled a 44. Okay, it's not that much call though. That's fine. Half a point is fair, I think, for that. Okay, fair enough. So I call sometimes, but not that often. Okay, fold. Whenever you see an underpair to like 3 cards and you've just scraped a call on the flop, like that flop call is going to be so break even, and you have a hand that is the most vulnerable to villain's bluffing range, the least improvable, and just trash, like just fold. Like this is a clear fold. Probably have to call here. Not going to love it. It's not going to be super high EV. Yeah, it's like less than a 3% of a big blind winning. Not really a big deal. If you did fold there, guys, it's not as much of a mistake as you would think. So against somebody that's too tight, you should actually just fold top pair bad kicker there. Against like nets and stuff, because this is why you look at EV. If it's close to break even against solver, then you'll want to just make a fold there against a bad player. A7, I think you can do some raise here, you can do some call. I'm just going to call on this roll. Pretty sure this is just a straight mix. Oh, it's always calling, huh? So what are the raises then? Like ace6, ace3? It's actually a big EV loss to raise, huh? That's interesting. I must just have almost no raising range because I've got very few value raises. I could have a bit of king, jack, king, queen that's slow played flop though. Kind of surprised by that, but I'll take the point. See, this scoring system's not actually great because it can punish you for understanding a spot well, but just being a little bit off in the frequency. Then it can reward you for having like no idea what's going on at the same time. Poker's hard, man. I think with a 7 of diamonds here in showdown value with this redraw, I don't think you want to raise this combo. I think you'll want to call this combo though. 5's gonna go ahead and this one you've got to be really careful. You've got a lot of junk in your range here. I've rolled a 40. The hand isn't fantastic by any means, but I think this is probably mixing. That's actually pure calling. Okay, went with my gut there. Definitely being rewarded by going with my gut a bit more here. I'd say like if you've got a trained sense of what's going on in these spots, trust your instincts. Ace 4's got to be a pure call. Sometimes you can fold though. This is such a stupid spot because on the 9 turn, no one's actually going to overbet here in real life. So this is such a silly spot. It's not a good spot to overbet at all, but the way this trainer works, it sometimes picks lines that hardly ever happen. I wonder if I can fold this one. I'm going to guess that I can't, but it's very close. It's like 16% of a big blind winning to call. Okay, by my count, we've done 44 hands. This might be wrong, in which case the editor's going to like make the score out of 51 or 49 or whatever instead. But I think there's 6 hands to go. Fold, 5 hands to go. Overall, I'd say that I'm really glad I did this. It's pointed out some things. Man, this is tough as well. Overbet's good. I guess it's okay here to overbet. Like, people won't have a lot of 10x here in reality, especially, but even in theory, not a lot. Although 10x does exist here. But when villain has 10x, they have the immortal nuts. They can clearly overbet, try and get stacks in play, jam river, and then just bluff a ton. That's how you want to play a spot where your opponent hardly ever has the nuts and you have a ton of nuts, is just overbet and then put the stack in play in the river. Like, don't worry about how often they're calling. That's not really relevant in theory. Obviously it's relevant, but it's static, right? As you increase your sizing, you get called less often, but you win more money. We call this greed theorem in the Carrot Poker School. You'll note how I'm just rambling because I don't know what to do. I mean, we don't have a lot of pairs here at all, but the 4 out is completely redundant, like it's not even a thing. So the outs are terrible, the hand's super vulnerable. A 5 is so much better, although I don't think villain's bluffing a lot with a 4. We have a lot of hands like King, Queen here, but I think they're better because they can draw. This has to be a fold, right? Because we can't draw to anything. Oh, it's a mix, a mistake. It's a mix. Yeah, that did strike me as close. So this brings me to an important point. I think I've got 3 hands left after this. You can be torn or you can be lost. So you can be unsure because you're torn, where you're like, man, this feels super close. I don't know what to do. It feels like both lines are similar. That's fine. Don't overthink that. That's like I offer you like 2 packets of potato chips, crisps, and you're like, they're the same flavor and they're the same brand, and you're like agonizing over which one to take. Like, just take one, right? It doesn't really matter. But if you're lost, like you have no idea which thing is better, that's where you need to really slow down and take your time. So there, I feel like I was just torn. I was like, man, this feels really close to me, but I'm going to fold because of these factors. And I think I kind of understood that while a pair is normally a call here, on a tripped up board, it's a lot worse in a sense, because even though you have a boat, like there's certain properties here that are bad. I think I got that. But at the same time, I wasn't sure what to do. So you can be torn or you can be lost, and there's a difference. And it's worthwhile stating which one you think you are when you're not sure. Because if you're torn, it's okay. Just do one. Pick a line. And if you're lost, now you need to slow down and be careful and revise the spot. Oh man, close one. Against overbet, I think it's a really easy fold. Against this sizing, this is probably going to mix call again. Like, we just have a lot of, like, all pairs are calls here for sure, but we don't have a lot of pairs. We do have ace 5, ace 4. Is this a pure fold? This might be a pure fold. The 10 doesn't strike me as a great card to have. We don't have ace king, ace queen though. Yeah, I'm going to mix some call. Yes, we're evolving, guys. We're no longer too tight. We've actually plugged the leak today. I think we've been slightly too tight on the turn until now, facing bets, especially in like those spots that we blundered horribly. 4s here against overbet has to be a fold. I've lost count of the hands. Let me just check how many are left. Okay, there were 2 more hands left and I just did them while the video was paused, so that was great. They were no-brainers. I just called an overbet with Jack 10. There was nothing else to say. Now it's going to give me harder hands, right? This is obviously a call. If we raise here and get jammed on, like, we would call it off, but I don't think we'd be that happy. Is this one of the weird hands we can like raise, call off? I don't think so. I think it's just a pure call. It's not horrible to raise though, and it would be a raise call. Okay, last hand. And an easy fold. So we got 2 out of 2 anyway. I think I'm overall quite happy with my performance there, but the 2 hands I got wrong were really bad. The ace deuce or ace 3 or whatever it was, I think it was ace deuce. I forgot about my overcard. I forgot how close my hand was to just beating all of villain's bluffs. It beat almost all of them, and I undervalued it grossly, and I've explained to myself why I got that one wrong. With the 7s hand, I just wasn't aware that that was like one of the better pocket pairs I can have. I have hardly any pairs. Like, you just have to defend a certain amount of your range, and I didn't react enough to the texture there. So what I did there is I just explained why I got the ones wrong that I got wrong. And that's not for your benefit. Well, it is kind of, but it's more for mine. It's so that next time I'm doing this exercise, it just piques my awareness a little bit. I'm a bit more accurate with things. What you could do is give yourself a score out of 50 like this for all different kinds of spots and repeat the exercises. Do it weekly. Maybe do like this exercise once a week for a month, but do some other spots as well. And then compare them after a month or 2. Which ones are you consistently scoring high on? Which ones do you need to work on? And repeat the ones that you're scoring the lowest, the different nodes. Pio2's trainer's great for this. I'm sure there's probably a way of doing something similar in a program like GTO Wizard if you don't want to go through the whole rigmarole of setting up Pio. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm definitely fallible. I learned a bit there. Hope you did too. And we'll see you for another video very soon. Don't forget to check out Carrot Corner for the Carrot Poker School, the theoretical course that will help you understand what's really going on behind the scenes. What factors actually matter to spots like this and every other spot in the game tree. Theory really matters. It's not just playing GTO. It's not copying a GTO strategy or just trying to mindlessly predict what the solver's going to do. It's about understanding poker. And that's the bedrock of your game. So do check out the Carrot Poker School to work on that bedrock. See you next time. Bye-bye.